insights, picks, results. This is Wizard Sports Picks. Beyond the Lines.
Welcome to another edition of Beyond the Lines, presented by Wizard Sports Picks for Friday, January the 30th. Ian Cameron with you, and we are ready to talk NHL, NBA, and college basketball. I'm going to give you a game preview from all three on this edition of the show for this Friday, January 30th. But before we get to that, reminder, check out the website, wizardsportspicks.com. Tons of great handicappers. It has been a phenomenal run on the website for me from the very beginning. Some of the numbers have been phenomenal. Number one ranked in the NFL at Wizard Sports Picks. Just a spectacular NFL season it has been for me, and equally as good in the NHL. Number one in the National Hockey League as well at Wizard Sports Picks. NFL this season, 72 and 49, 60%, 17.05 units of profit. And in the NHL, also ranked number one, 146 and 113, 56%. 25.9 units of profit. Not to mention I'm having a profitable NBA season as well at the website. So get on board, daily premium picks, as well as invest in a long-term subscription, 3-day, 7-day, 30-day, and 1 year, all sports, all access passes available. Check out the website. Enter your email address on the homepage, and you will get free picks sent to your inbox each day. Check out all the great handicappers right now at wizardsportspicks.com. All right, let's talk some Friday action across all sports. I'm going to give you an NHL game, an NBA game, and a college basketball game for Friday. We'll start in the NHL with the one and only game on Friday in NHL action. We've got the Columbus Blue Jackets taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. Current consensus price has Columbus on the road around a minus 135 to minus 140 road favorite in this game. The total sitting at 6.5, shaded to the under. Columbus 6-1 since firing Dean Evison as head coach and bringing aboard Rick Bowness as head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Jackets are 6-1 since Rick Bowness took over. And an angle that I use, and I know a lot of other bettors use, is just riding a team after a coaching change. And I've been doing that quite a bit with Columbus. And the reason they're playing better hockey under Rick Bowness is a lot of the players have mentioned that Rick Bowness is a very good communicator. They get the message. They understand what he expects of them. And they really have focused on working on their game defensively during this 6-1 run. And they have improved at the defensive end of the ice. They're also getting a few more offensive contributions at that end from players that were struggling a little bit under the previous regime. You put it all together, and this Columbus team is by far playing their best hockey of the season, 6-1, run for them in their last 7 games since the coaching change, entering this game against Chicago. They also have the schedule in their favor for this game, as Chicago will be coming in on a back-to-back after playing in Pittsburgh the night before. So Columbus might have the chance to get the jump on them in this game. Columbus has also had the better of Chicago of late. They have won 5 straight meetings over the Chicago Blackhawks. And right now, Columbus, they're certainly scoring more goals than Chicago has. Chicago, during this current 4-game losing streak, they have scored just a total of 7 goals. Meanwhile, defensively, they have given up 15 goals in their last 3 games. So really, at both ends of the ice, it's pretty easy to see that the current form advantage lies with Columbus. Factor in that Chicago's on a back-to-back. I think the price is fair enough to take Columbus here and ride this great momentum that they have had since Rick Bowness took over. So I will recommend Columbus money line minus 135 against the Chicago Blackhawks. Columbus minus 135 to keep this run going and get a win over the Chicago Blackhawks on Friday night for my first pick on this edition of Beyond the Lines. Now let's swing over to the pro hard court. Let's go to the NBA and talk Toronto Raptors and Orlando Magic, a little Friday night NBA action. We've got Orlando, a 1.5-point home favorite in this game, 220.5 the total here in this matchup. The Orlando Magic have certainly had an up and down season. There is no question about that. Ups and downs. Started off the season real rough, turned things around after that. And now you look at Orlando coming into this game, and they've started to struggle again. They've won just 1 game In their last 5 games, they had lost 4 in a row before snapping the losing streak with a 133-124 road win against Miami. We'll see if they're able to carry it over here, that success. Keep in mind, they're still playing without one of their most important players by far in Franz Wagner for the Orlando Magic, who may be returning soon, but I don't expect him to return for this game. We'll see how Orlando fares now back on their home court. It is worth noting this is an Orlando Magic team that has lost 3 of their last 4 here at home, including back-to-back home losses as favorites against the Charlotte Hornets and Cleveland Cavaliers. Meanwhile, the Toronto Raptors come into this game. They had a tremendous road trip. They went 4-1 out west. They lost the first game of the trip against the Lakers, and then they proceeded not to lose another game on that road trip, beating Golden State, Sacramento, Portland, and Oklahoma City. 4 straight wins. But they came back home and faced the New York Knicks. And we talk about this spot a lot in handicapping circles. Teams coming home off a long road trip, especially a successful road trip. That's always a spot where you want to be careful about backing a team. And certainly the Raptors ended up not playing their A game off a very long, successful road trip. They were beaten soundly by the New York Knicks, 119-92 at home a couple days ago. I view this as a nice bounce back spot for the Raptors. I also think they're the better team at the moment. So to be able to get Toronto here as a small underdog against Orlando, and it is worth noting, Toronto has a better road record this year than home record. They're only 13-11 at home. They're 16-9 straight up on the road this year. So this team has been getting it done on the highway. I wouldn't be surprised if they get it done on the highway here on Friday night. So we'll take the Toronto Raptors plus 1.5 against the Orlando Magic on Friday night in NBA action. That'll be my second pick here on Beyond the Lines. And let's wrap up with a college basketball game from Friday night. Let's go to a little late night Mountain West action for Friday. It's the Boise State Broncos taking on the Grand Canyon Antelopes. We've got Grand Canyon here, about a 1.5 point home favorite here in this game. Near pick-em price range is what we're seeing right now with this basketball game. And the total currently for this matchup sitting around 139.5 to 140.5, depending on which book you are currently looking at. But I think when you look at this matchup here with the Broncos and the Antelopes, Boise State is a team I've made a decent amount of money in college basketball betting against during their swoon. They lost a heartbreaker against San Diego State. It was a marathon overtime game, and it's almost like that game shook them because the next few games they went into a swoon, Boise State, and they had a very, very difficult time getting out of it. They lost against Grand Canyon earlier this year. The same Grand Canyon team as 8.5 point favorites, 75-58. They lost 93-68, blown out at home by Utah State. They lost to a very ordinary UNLV team, 89-85. But we have seen Boise State start to turn it around. 4 straight wins, 4 straight covers for the Broncos in Mountain West play. Wins over Colorado State, Wyoming, Air Force, and San Jose State. But really, when you look at that schedule, have they really turned it around? Colorado State by far is probably the best win. Wyoming has had their share of issues. Air Force and San Jose State are just not good at all. So we need to pump the brakes, at least I think so, with this Boise State 4-game win streak. Let's see if they can step up, go on the road, and face a Grand Canyon team that has been excellent here on their home court this year. 9-2 straight up for Grand Canyon at home. Now, I get it. This is a revenge spot for Boise State. They're going to want this game. They lost 75-58 at home to Grand Canyon back on January 7th. They were laying 8.5 points. They lost outright by 17. They're going to want redemption. But there's one problem with that. I don't think they're as good. I don't think they're the better team. And I think this is a very cheap price with Grand Canyon here on their home court. And let's also not forget, Grand Canyon's coming off a hard-fought but tough loss to Nevada, 66-60 in their last game in Reno. This is a team that'll be looking to bounce back. And when you talk about bouncing back, that was only Grand Canyon's 7th loss this season when they lost at Nevada a couple of nights ago earlier this week. In Nevada's previous 6 games this season, when they've been off a loss, they have bounced back and they have won the next game each and every time. Perfect 6-0 straight up. Grand Canyon off a loss this season. They're off that loss to Nevada earlier this week. I think they are the better team. I think they have matchup advantages. They have home court, which has been strong for them on a Friday night. I think there is no revenge to be had here for Boise State. I think Grand Canyon beats them yet again. So let's take Grand Canyon here, and we'll take Grand Canyon minus 1.5 against Boise State on Friday night in Mountain West college basketball action for my third and final pick here on this edition of Beyond the Lines. That's a wrap for this edition of the show. Thank you for tuning in. Get to wizardsportspicks.com and check out all the great premium picks as well as long-term subscription packages from all your favorite handicappers at wizardsportspicks.com. I'm Ian Cameron. Enjoy the games and good luck. Hit the like button on the way out. And thanks for tuning in to the Friday, January 30th edition of Beyond the Lines presented by Wizard Sports Picks.